But, you know, I think you talked about VP, and I think what Trump needs for a VP. First of all, the fact that the media is asking about that means that they're acknowledging he's going to be the nominee.
Right.
I don't hear anybody asking about other people running and who their VP is going to be. He's so strong, he doesn't really need a VP, but he needs somebody, if he does pick someone, I believe, who the media hates more than him, who's loyal and will continue to be loyal. I mean, we saw with Mike Pence, he wasn't really loyal.
Right.
But somebody who, you know, right now with Biden, people are more worried almost about Kamala. She's so incompetent. And so it's like, well, you want to get rid of him, but, you know, the other choice is really just as bad.
They don't have anybody.
They want somebody who they fear more.
Yeah.
They fear more.
Well, so right now there's, in terms of the presidential race. Well, I'll pause right there and say there's conversations around you and there's still the work that's going on in Arizona, but also potentially a Senate run, which we'll get into. But I wanted to start off with this because the big conversation is, you know, Trump or DeSantis. People are fighting over it. They're online. They're saying DeSantis is better because he attracts moderates. But then the Trump supporters are saying DeSantis is not strong enough and Trump needs to finish this out. I do think there's a big net positive with a Trump DeSantis ticket in that when I talk to moderates, when I'm hanging out in the city or whatever, there's concern over Trump. I've heard from independents being like, oh, I'm just so tired of Trump. Then I said, what about a Trump DeSantis ticket? And they're like, well, okay. My issue with DeSantis, though, is I'm not sure he's strong enough for what's lying ahead. And the reason why I said I think you should be the VP is because, with all due respect to Trump, I think you're much like him in terms of strength, but media savvy, right? Trump is good at taking down the media and fulfilling that cathartic release for people who have been lied to. But you, coming from media, actually know how to handle them really, really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's fun when I'm actually, in some ways, I like the hostile interviews, and they never understand that if you're going to throw that kind of bias toward me, I'm going to call it out because I understand what they're doing. I see what they're doing, and I will just call them right out to their face. So, you know, I thought Trump was great in the debate. I don't know what they called it. It wasn't really a debate. Town hall. Yeah.
The debate with Caitlin Collins.
He is good at attacking the media. He's the one who first kind of informed us how fake the media was. I was working in the media and didn't realize that. And then it started to become more and more obvious. He almost revealed that for us. And maybe I'm another version of him because I actually know exactly what they're up to after working in it.
Well, so let's then go back to the beginning, I suppose, or not necessarily the beginning, but where we are now. I mean, what are you currently working on? What's happening?
Well, as you know, we're still addressing November 8th, and we have an active court case. As a matter of fact, when this airs, we're going to be in court. Our attorneys are in court, so we're working on that. We've got some great bombshells about what happened, and we have a 3-day trial tentatively scheduled for next week. So the media wants everyone to think it's over. I know, nothing to see here. Don't talk about it, but definitely don't talk about it. Nothing to see, and it's actually still active. It
was interesting. You actually, I would say preliminarily won. You presented this lawsuit. You have a bunch of claims. The judge throws out most of them, but lets few of them go through. And you see this interesting media dynamic of the corporate press said Kari Lake loses, and then, but that's inaccurate. The judge actually accepted some of the claims. And in a lawsuit, this is normal. You'll go with a lawsuit. You'll say, here's 20 arguments. And then you'll say, these 2 are good. And that's part of the process.
Right.
So they try to frame it as though you lost when actually it's moving forward. And in a couple hours after, from the time of recording this, by the time this airs, you will be in court.
Yeah, our attorneys will be in court today in Maricopa County, and we'll see what happens. We know we have strong evidence, and we know we have a strong case. The question is the judiciary fair? Do we have a fair justice system? And I don't think I have to. I think you all can answer that for yourself if we have a fair justice system.
This is the big challenge, especially when we're looking at what's going on in big cities with crime and fairness. And so I suppose, not to just kind of brush it up, but I'll say you've got a court case today, so we will see how that goes.
If you want more information on it, you can go to, check me out on Twitter, go to my website. I think we'll have a link there. Is that right? We'll have a link probably
we can put a link
today.
But so I suppose the issue is in the news right now, you have the Daniel Penny case. I mean, you have Daniel Penny and Daniel Perry. Are you familiar with these cases?
I've heard of the Penny one.
Penny is the guy in New York who, along with two others, was trying to stop a violent.
A crazed person on the subway, yes.
And then Perry was the guy who had the Antifa approach him with the rifle raised up and then fired on him and is now going to prison for 25 years. So it's interesting to see these different circumstances.
They want us not defending ourselves. They want us to just become victims of crime. And the only way to stop these criminals is for them to be more afraid of their victim. And I don't walk around feeling like I'm going to become a victim of a crime, because I will.
Defend yourself.
The last person you want to mess with is me. I'm sweet, but I'm also not going to allow somebody to hurt me.
This is the scary thing, though. I mean, if you're in a place like New York, and increasingly all of the major cities are behaving this way, New York City is a place where crime has been escalating. I'm not saying it's the worst in the country or whatever,
It's
but
pretty bad. I was just there.
And you had last year 25 people shoved in front of oncoming trains. 2 of them lost their lives. You get a man in this is a very interesting dynamic.
And they let these people out.
Yeah.
They don't even put them behind bars.
Oh, but here's where it gets good. We're talking about whether the judiciary is fair. In New York, there's a man. He's a former Marine. He's 24. He, along with 2 other people, were confronted by a violent homeless person who said he would hurt somebody and didn't care if he would go to jail. 3 people who live in New York thought it'd be reasonable to subdue this man. After subduing him, placed him in the recovery position. Ocasio-Cortez, Democrats, and activists demanded this man be imprisoned. He's now facing 15 years.
For trying to protect others, really.
And now
It's a pretty noble thing, right?
Here's the best part. There's another story happening in New York, which is a little more crass. A homeless black man went into a restaurant and took a pride flag and used it to clean himself after relieving himself outside. They're demanding a maximum sentence for him having done this. So we talk about a judiciary, whether it's fair. If you're a homeless man who is unwell and you defecate on a pride flag, they want you locked up, maximum sentence. If you are a Marine trying to protect others from a homeless, violent man, the homeless man now is the victim. I
always say we're living on planet crazy. And, this is the same legal system in New York that they just tried President Trump under on a 20-year-old charge that really sounds made up. I mean, It does. I'm sorry. I read through it. I'm like, and every person should be horrified. Every single human being in New York. I mean, you could just have a made up charge thrown your way and it can ruin your life. But it won't because they'll only go after someone like President Trump. They have to stop him. They have to stop him because he wants to turn things around, and that's what it's about. I don't feel safe in American cities right now. Phoenix is dangerous. It wasn't so long ago we were driving downtown to the Capitol, and we got into Phoenix, and for about 10 minutes we're driving, and I was looking out the window, and I was like, I have not seen one person walking on the street except for homeless people. Wow. And this is why I put forth a really bold plans when I was running a policy to address chronic street homelessness. This is a serious problem. These people are a danger to others and they're a danger to themselves. And I've said it before, God didn't envision any one of us living in a tent on the street with a needle in our arm. And we can help these people and we can help them get better if we care enough. And we can make them contributing citizens, but we can't do that with a wide open border and a never-ending stream of drugs coming in. And that's why it had to go in conjunction with a great homeless policy. We have to shut down the criminal activity the narco-terrorists are polling at the border. Oh, man.
And that's huge right now with Title 42 expiring and where we're going with that. So I want to get to that. But let's start here with the homeless problem. Every city's basically seeing this. DC's seeing it. What do you think we could do to, I mean, look, I want to help these people, right? Mm-hmm. We want them to go from being sleeping in a tent with a needle in their arm to a productive member of society with a smile on their face with a good life. What can we do?
Well, our policy was pretty bold. For starters, like I said, you can't do the homeless policy unless you're dealing with the drugs pouring in, because you're going to get someone clean, and then there's just drugs on every street corner. So you have to go really hard. We have to start going after crime. There's about, if you go to Phoenix, I think the number might be a little bit off, 200, 300 individuals who commit 90% of the crime. And it's just a rotation. They're booked, they're in and out of jail, charges dropped. we have to start going after the people who are committing most of the crime and actually have consequences for their actions. We can't keep just saying, well, all right, we'll dismiss those charges. We've got to start locking people up who commit crime. Some of the people who gotten clean the fastest are the ones who end up in jail. But we also have to make sure that when they get out, we're able to help them find work and become contributing members. So many people get out of prison and they can't find work. So I believe in bringing down the recidivism rate so that they don't end up on drugs back on the street again, but encouraging people to get treatment. And if they don't, then going after them for trespassing, going after them for any violent crimes, any public nuisance. We have to start addressing the behavior